Terrific game and awesome atmosphere. Really grateful for our fans. The way they lit up Fiserv today. This is what college basketball is all about. I'm really grateful for the fact that there's two great college basketball programs in this state and that we get to play every year. I think that the difference for us in this game was there was probably more of an expectation that we would win and that we would do what's required to win, and less of a antsiness or whatever the word is, anxiety about winning. You go into these games and winning is not guaranteed, but you want something in your mind to guarantee it, but that's just not how it works. You got to go after it, and you got to go after it for 40 minutes.
Shaka, you subbed out the three seniors, and then you brought CB over. You guys had a little bit of a moment. Ken talked a little bit about this, but for you, what did that mean to you, and what did you tell them?
Well, those guys, they all have great fathers, but they feel like, my sons. And, we've built this program together. When we first got here, I remember we had a meal as a team in the Al McGuire Center, and everyone was kind of sitting in different corners of the room, and nobody knew each other. And I remember thinking, man, we got a long way to go with the relationships that we need to build. But those four guys have just been such foundational people before you even get to the basketball in shaping the culture that we have. So I'm really, really happy for two groups of people. Number one, those four, and then number two, our fans. Because I can't tell you how many times fans have said to me, are you going to beat Wisconsin this year? So I'm grateful for them.
Just looking at your defense tonight, you forced Wisconsin to 16 turnovers. Really, in the second half, there was an 8 or 9 minute stretch where you were forcing a lot of them. Just what did you like about ramping up the defensive intensity after the first half?
Well, you have to. I thought our guys ramped it up to start the game, and then we got back on our heels a little bit. Wisconsin, this is the best offensive team, that Wisconsin team that we've played against, because their perimeter players are all major weapons. And their bigger guys are terrific conduits of their offense. I thought a big key in the game was our, I guess you would say, 4s and 5s, ability to put pressure on their bigger guys and just try to, even if it's, an inch or two, force them further out on the floor. My man Mike Tomlin likes to say you got to fight for every blade of grass. And, that's how we told our guys we have to approach this game.
What did it take for Chase to play with that ankle injury? What did you see on the defensive end?
I tell you, the last several days have not been ideal for us in terms of preparation and practice. Stevie doesn't practice much because of injury. Zayd's been out. Cam has not practiced. He turned his ankle 2 days before the Iowa State game. He's not quite been 100%. And then Chase hurt himself in the Iowa State game. He hasn't practiced. So our scout group deserves a ton of credit, because we weren't even really able to play 5-on-5 gold against blue like we normally do. We had to play the guys that were able to practice against the scout group, and they did a good job mimicking Wisconsin's stuff. Obviously, not on the same level that Wisconsin has, but that was good for us in preparation.
John Tonje came in one of the leaders in free throw attempts this year in the NCAA. He attempted 8 free throws in the first half, did not attempt a free throw in the second half. What changed defensively at halftime?
He's a load. I mean, I think not just Tonje, but Klesmit, Blackwell, those guys, they are relentless in how they attack the basket. I think in some ways our Iowa State game on Wednesday prepared us for today, because Iowa State's guards, had a similar quality. Tonje, when he gets the ball, particularly on the wing, he's going to rip it a lot of times baseline, and you got to be ready. He does a terrific job, with the level of violence he drives with. I thought what we did better was just put our chest on him instead of letting him get an angle. And then there were some plays. There's a lot of plays today that probably could have gone different ways in terms of the way the game was officiated, but I thought the officials, they at least called it, consistently on both ends of the floor.
We saw your veterans obviously carry their weight, but your younger class had some really great minutes yesterday as well. What did you see that you liked from them?
Trey Norman and Caden Hamilton, they were terrific. Ben Gold as well. And Ben's kind of in between young and old because he's making the transition to being a guy as opposed to, maybe coming off the bench and playing smaller minutes like he did last year. I thought Ben's toughness was terrific. Caden Hamilton in the first half, he really came in and he played with fight. We talked about this yesterday. He's more comfortable sometimes on the bench than he is in the game because he has more experience with that. He sat out all of last year and he's used to cheering on his teammates. But it's like, man, you can do it. We love you. You're the toughest, baddest, meanest guy we got, and we need you to impose that on the opponent. And I thought he did that today. One of these days he'll bomb in a three. Today he took way too long before he shot it. But Trey Norman, I thought was the biggest multiplier for us because per minute he had the best, plus minus. Did a terrific job of helping us get stops, helping us get scores while he was in the game.
Coach, with the analytics that you have and the things that you know about Cam Jones, is there any shot that you discourage him from taking, or does he have total free reign?
Yeah, there is. I mean, he's in my opinion, the best guard in the country. So there's pretty much everything in the game of basketball he's better at than I am. So you have to defer sometimes as a coach in those situations. But at the same time, I have perspective just because I'm a little older, and I can help him understand, hey, this might be good, but this over here is great. But, man, when he jumps up to shoot it, whether it's from three or in the paint, I don't know about you, but I feel pretty good about it. And he also is a very, very willing passer. By far creates the most closeouts for our teammates of anyone on our team. So really, really grateful for him. And, Chase Ross as well. Him and Stevie, their toughness is 11 out of 10. Those guys, they just continue to fight and battle, and they just, man, I can't say enough how appreciative I am of their toughness.
In the first half, nobody could really get momentum. How did that shift for you guys in the second? I mean, the Greg Gard said it was the turnovers. What did you see that gave you guys the momentum in the second half?
Just intestinal fortitude. I kind of sensed at halftime that a couple of our older guys, they were feeling a little bit of anxiety about, it's a 2-point game instead of us being up by whatever. And it's like, yeah, that's how a lot of these games are. And so they kept talking about we got to have desperation, which is a word we tend to use. But desperation can be good. Desperation can be bad. I just told those guys, man, there's 5 of us. There's 5 of them. Let's absolutely go after everything we have and put our toughness on full display. And I thought, at the beginning of the half, it was both teams trading baskets. But then as we really settled in on defense, particularly the 7 non-freshmen that played today. This game was above our freshmen on defense today. That's why they didn't play down the stretch. It was flat out above where they are on defense. And those guys are as talented as anyone on our team offensively, but it's a good lesson for them. But the other 7 guys, they were willing to put their chin and their chest on the play, and that was the difference.
Coach, what have you learned most about your team so far going forward into conference?
10 games. We've got one more non-conference game in a week, challenging road game at Dayton. Learned about resilience. Our guys have really good resilience. Our guys love each other, care about each other, and we're building more and more trust for each other than we had a month ago. And this team is a grittier, tougher, we like to say goons. This team has an advantage in that way over the past 3 years when we press that advantage. It doesn't just happen. We have to press that. But when you have Stevie Mitchell and Chase Ross on the floor and the toughness with which Ben Gold played today, it gives you a chance to be a very, very gritty team.
Coach, could Sean Jones have played today if you needed him?
Well, I mean, he hasn't gotten to that point yet. Could he have played? You'll have to ask Sean. But he's, when you're coming back from that type of, and he has practiced, He has practiced, and he's practiced 5-on-5. But the game setting is, let's be honest, it's a higher level of intensity when you add 18,000 people and an opponent like Wisconsin. I think he's close, but, you know, at the end of the day, we're always going to defer to his, you know, comfort level to go out there and play. It was a devastating injury that he had. He's not quite 11 months, you know, post-surgery. And so, you know, that's right in there with that window when you recover from that type of surgery, when, you know, you start to think about coming back. So could he have played? Not yet, because he's not quite there, but we're hopeful that he can soon.
You talked about the other 98% when it comes to Ben. Just tonight, he had that like behind the back
Yeah.
pass, he had like the block for us.
The behind the back pass was awesome, man. I can't wait to watch that on tape. You know, this guy, Ben, I think I've said this before. If you don't like Ben, then there's something wrong with you. He's a special guy, and he has almost probably the most important trait that any person can have is humility, and he has almost too much. He needs to think a little bit more of himself. But you see that growing through our first 10 games. I love on that play, there was a willingness on his part to drive, which he was hesitant with that at Iowa State. He drove, he drew help, and then he made a heads-up play to throw it behind his back. You know, we call him a big guard with the initials BG. He really is that. You know, he's 6'10", and he plays the 5 spot for us. But, man, he's like a guard. He can be a playmaker. And I thought that was part of what allowed us to score so many points today is, you know, the fact that he stretches the floor and he's a threat out there.
That's it.